What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of The Arena. Today, we're going to do kind of a Super Bowl recap, but for all the off the field stuff, because there's just so much to get into right away. What were your guys' thoughts on the halftime show, commercials, anything that stood out to you about the Super Bowl?
Obviously, being an Eagles fan, I had a phenomenal day. Um, I did predict it 38-17. I think, we just whooped their ass. But I mean, off the field stuff, trumping at the Super Bowl is very interesting. I think total waste of American taxpayer dollars. Fun example I heard over the week was Obama does a very similar thing a couple of years ago. He did Date Night with Malia in New York. Fox News does about a week of shows running that as a headline, and they don't talk about shit with Trump going to the Super Bowl. Cost the American taxpayer $4 million, but that's okay.
I think it's about time we kind of acknowledge that the NFL is just kind of an American propaganda wing, kind of.
Oh yeah,
With the flyovers, there's a lot of military imagery. I think there's a lot of military-esque verbiage um, within a football team. Even like going back when I played football in high school, wasn't good or anything. Like I didn't start, but it was just like you heard warriors a lot of references to combat, fighting in the trenches. Um, as for the halftime show, you know, I think that's a big cultural moment. I think fast forward like a decade, and we're going to be talking a lot more about this in the future.
Mhm.
The use of imagery, um, the subtle protests that weren't overt that you had to really look into, uh, and just he's he is just a talent. He is 100% a talent. He won a Pulitzer Award for his album, what, back in 2017, 2018?
he won for damn.
2016. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he is a talented artist. And frankly, I think it kind of inspires some of the energy we need um moving forward.
Yeah, I think the last thing that you said there is exactly what I was about to say. I think since the inauguration, since the election, even it has been a very negative, very just fear mongering a little bit headlines day after day after day. And it's been like a never ending just deluge of them. And I think I think the Grammys and then the Super Bowl back to back was just the perfect, like, start of a not like exactly counterculture movement, but kind like counterculture to the MAGA movement for sure. Movement that the left needs, and quite frankly, that all sane people with a working brain need right now. And I think you're absolutely right. Kendrick Lamar is a extremely talented dude. Just I, from a pure music standpoint, kind of wish he played more of the classics. Money Trees would have gone hard at the Super Bowl, or even All Right, which he did in the LA halftime show. But
Yeah,
I think that would have been sick. But dude, him just starting everything by saying that you it's the revolution is now, but you picked the wrong guy. I butchered that a little bit,
yeah.
right? But it's just that I think it was subtle enough where the people that were looking for him and kind of expected them could get them, but it wasn't so overt that like it created a major media backlash,
Mhm.
right? And like they tried to manufacture one, but it didn't really stick, right? And then for the for your point on the NFL, sorry that I'm going into a full monologue here, but for the NFL point, it is very like NFL propaganda-y, but I also think that the NFL is just a microcosm of the United States of America.
I could
Like,
see that.
and
Yeah.
I was
Hmm.
literally like cooking this video idea while driving today, because if you think about it, a lot of the money and power is reserved for a small population of the NFL community with who control almost everything and have the most money. And even if you want to get a little cynical, you have 31 billionaires controlling Roger Goodell. You have the billionaires and the lobbies controlling the president. I think
Hmm.
there's
Yeah.
like a lot of parallels that you can make with the NFL to the United States of America as a whole. But I was thinking about this and this like just funny, not so much. I don't know how real analysis this is. You guys can critique, but I think the NFL kind of invited Donald Trump because they knew exactly what would happen at every step of the way.
I I would like to add in as well to your former point too, and Conrad's point. I think it's a phenomenal point. I think just the NFL and sports in general is just inherently extremely right wing, like compared to most other facets of American life. It's very just pro America, pro like very nationalistic. And I mean, the type of people who are playing sports tend to be more pro conservative, pro family values. I mean, it's just so American sports, America's pastimes, our sports, it's just so ingrained in that traditional way of life, right?
Mhm.
And
100%.
I think the Kendrick Lamar being the halftime performer was such an interesting pick too, where it's like I don't think the NFL knew he was going to do that, if that makes sense. I think they knew, but at the same time, I don't know.
I think what they definitely did not expect was the dancer in the back holding up the Palestinian and Sudan flags. But
Oh,
shout out to that dude.
yep.
Hmm.
That takes an incredible amount of just like ballsiness, for lack of a better term. But I think the NFL knew exactly what Kendrick was about to do. Like there was no way that with everything happen. Like say what you will about Roger Goodell, but the dude is extremely, extremely good at his job and at protecting the image of the NFL.
Yeah.
Right? He is extremely good, and he understands the current social climate. He understands a lot of it, but I think when we talk about sports leagues as a whole, the NBA is like extremely liberal
Oh
as
yeah.
a
It's more
sports
to the
league.
left.
Oh, a lot left, in my
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
opinion, right? But even with the NFL, like when the remember, like when the Trump Kaepernick skirmish happened,
Hmm.
it was like the NFL as a whole, like almost every single team protested that week. Almost every single team protested the national anthem in some way that week, and
Yeah.
I that was a very like it was a coordinated effort to protest the anthem.
And
Besides the
I
Dallas
think
Cowboys.
and I think as and we me and you discussed this offline, but I mean you can just go organization by organization, which are more conservative than others. Eagles, very historically liberal organization. Giants are also historically liberal. But you got organizations like the Denver Broncos and the Dallas Cowboys, who are very conservative, owned by super, super conservative people. I think but just sports in general, though. I mean,
Hmm.
it's so America pilled, and
It is,
that's
but
what makes it very right wing because nationalism in America right now is connected to the right wing.
it is, but that's also why one of my favorite things at the DNC last year was when they gave out American flags and everybody had American flags on. And it was
Hmm.
like right when the Kamala flow was happening on TikTok and just like on the internet, they were about to launch the whole weird thing, right?
Yeah.
And I think that because I'm always of the opinion, and I think this is from coming from a like immigrated here standpoint, but I'm always of the
Hmm.
opinion that like national pride is a good thing, and
Exactly, and I
that
agree.
the right has just completely taken it away from everybody else, and
That was that.
they embarrass the country, and then you don't feel like having national pride anymore.
No, and
But
I
and
think that having national pride, and I'm sorry for interrupting you, but I think the fact is that we I that was my favorite point of the Kamala Harris campaign that we tried to take back the flag, and ultimately we weren't successful with it. But I think that as the left in general, we should try to take back the flag, take back having national pride. Because as myself, I'm not going to say I'm a nationalist, but I love America. I love everything that America, well, on paper stands for, just helping everyone else, helping the lesser, give me your weak and your poor, all that stuff, right? Shining, sitting on the hill. I think as a left, we can embrace that a lot more. And I think that would actually really do good for us. Oh, why do I want to give out universal health care? Oh, it's because it's gonna make America great.
yeah,
Or just stuff like that.
yeah, 100%. And Connor, I'm sorry, I'm yapping a lot, but I was gonna add on to that. It's like I think just sports in general because it's always like take hockey for example. How proud are like the American teams in America that like a Canadian hockey team hasn't won the Stanley Cup in a decent amount of time, right? Then a sport like basketball, you play it at the Olympics too. There's
Yep.
like nationalism will obviously come out if you're playing a sport against another country, just because you're competitive and you want your country, your team to win. So
Mhm.
I think they're very connected in a way.
They are. They are. Conrad, do you have anything to add?
I was gonna say like that embrace of country. It is very, very important. I think some of the biggest events of recent time. Think about the miracle game in the 1980 Olympics and what that meant. You know, I think that really defined what Americans thought of themselves as a group of amateurs who just love the sport, going up against like a bully, a titan, a giant, a well-oiled machine in the Soviets. And I think there's a lot of similar storylines in the Super Bowl, but it's more on the political spectrum. But you look at like Jalen Hurts, his management team. You look at maybe some inner Chiefs conflict, maybe with Taylor Swift endorsing Harris, and where the Mahomes are. Um, it was just a really, really interesting overall storyline with that Super Bowl. I also like to point out too that the dude didn't even stay for the whole Super Bowl.
No,
The
just until
dude didn't
halftime.
even stay for the whole Super. Like, if you had Super Bowl tickets, I'm a Bears fan. If the Bears were getting walloped 60-0, like just with the price of the tickets, I'm staying that whole game. I'm watching warm-ups. I'm staying that whole game. Like, you're not gonna like pull me out of that stadium. I'm just
Hmm.
the dude
See,
couldn't even just stand to see the team he wanted to win
lose.
lose.
Yeah,
No,
and
he's a loser. I mean,
it's just a micro. Like there's a book about Trump called Lucky Loser. That's literally what he is. It is a very apt description of him. But on
exactly.
the this is something that I wanted to talk about today.
I'm sorry. Can I add on to Conrad's point just a little bit more?
Yeah, of course.
I think, and Conrad, I love your point. I think that is such a phenomenal point, and I think just like America looking at itself as the underdog, all that stuff, and I think sports just appeal to Americans so much too. As well as that is, it's the ultimate meritocracy. Hard work
Mm,
pays off in sports, right? And I mean, that's what this country was founded on. That's the American dream. Hard work will pay off. You work hard, you will get to where you deserve to be or get to. Whatever I'm stuttering, but I think, and funny enough, I think that's why it appeals to conservatives so much and Republicans is that it's just very physical, very brute, but like as well as that, it's hard work pays off, and that's basically what the Republican Party claims to be.
Hmm.
Meritocracy. You work hard, you do your 40 hours. Congratulations, you get to where you're supposed to be. You're a millionaire or something like that, right?
The operative word for the Republican Party being claims.
Of
mm,
course, yes.
But with the like when reporters were going around asking literally every single Chiefs and Eagles player, "Ooh, how do you feel about Donald Trump coming to the Super Bowl?" I hated that.
Yes.
That is not something that I just think that if I was one of those athletes, the insane amount of media that you got to do for that 1 week before the biggest game of your life, I think there's a much better way to go about doing those things and giving and balancing giving fans access to these players who have made it this far and the storylines and everything like that. But at the same time, just thinking of them as humans and like you want your athletes to perform the best on the biggest stage, put less pressure on them in very avoidable ways. But I think, and I know a lot of people were mad about Travis Kelsey's answer when he said it's an honor to play in front of any president, no matter who it is. I personally do not have an issue with that answer. I think that answer is the literal best thing that anybody could have said because it is a non-answer. He does not
mm,
say if he likes him or not. He does not make an opinion either way. He just says, "Oh yeah, it's cool to play in front of the guy that holds the office of president of the United States."
Very boilerplate.
Extremely, and
it's
Boilerplate.
good
like
media literacy.
extremely
Exactly.
good. And if he had said, "Heh, he can go fuck himself" or something along that nature, obviously I would have liked it a lot more because it would have been funny. But
Yeah.
if I'm Travis Kelsey, I'm extremely happy with my answer there. And
And oh,
oh, sorry, but like, I just think that that was that just really bothered me, just that whole situation. But
I oh,
oh,
I'm
sorry,
sorry.
I got one more
I'm
thing to say,
sorry,
dog.
bro.
I'm so sorry.
You're good,
Right?
dude.
On him leaving, I think why does Donald Trump? Why did he go to so many college football games last year? Why is he going to go to the Daytona 500? Why is he going to the Super Bowl? Because these are important events that a lot of people watch, and Donald Trump is unhappy unless he is the center of everybody's attention. And he wants to be the center of everybody's attention. He wants to, just go parade himself out. And he didn't get the attention that he wanted at the Super Bowl. And then the Kendrick Lamar halftime show was basically a big FU to him and all the other bigots out there. And he got sad and left and probably was crying the entire rest of the night.
Probably. I mean that and ego. And I think you're 100% right about the Travis Kelsey. It's such a non-answer. And I'm sorry, but Travis Kelsey currently is probably the biggest NFL player right now. I think it's fair to say him and Taylor Swift. Most you show an average person and be like, oh, that's Taylor Swift's boyfriend, right? He appeals to both conservatives and liberals, so obviously you want him to give a non-answer. Dude, and I think he got a lot of shit, and I'm not gonna say rightfully so, because I don't think he deserved all that shit. He didn't come out and support anyone, but I think it's also the point where he's kind of disrespecting Taylor a little, where it's like Donald Trump said a lot of these disgusting things
Yeah.
about Taylor Swift, but
Mm-hmm.
it's the president. You got to show respect. I don't know. Also, it's funny too. He has to walk such a thin line of not being too liberal, not being too conservative, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Hurts just kind of jumped over that line and said, "Yeah, I don't really give a shit. I don't." I mean, Jalen Hurts though is also like basically a liberal who hasn't said he's
Mm-hmm.
a liberal.
But I think Jalen gives that. We talked about this off camera.
We did
I think Jalen gives that answer if it's Biden, if it's Kamala. Like I think Jalen just
exactly.
gives that answer because Jalen's going to give that answer.
Yep.
But you're absolutely right. Travis Kelsey has to walk an extremely fine line and kind of keep both sides happy. I think given he was in a Pfizer commercial in 2023, I think we know what side he stands on, and he has a
Yes.
brain. But yeah.
I mean, it's all speculation where he stands, but there's no definitive proof or definitive answer. But if I had to guess, I'd think he's probably a little more liberal than conservative, especially him dating Taylor. That would be my guess, but shot in the dark, who the hell knows? Connor, do you have anything to add?
Yeah. You know, I think that we, no, not too much. I'm a little bit like at a loss right now. It's just interesting. Why are you asking players that when depending on what side of the political spectrum you're on, and depending on who the player is, whether it be one of the Bosa brothers, whether it be, and I'm so sorry, I'm not like up to snuff on like current NFL players or anything
Okay.
like that, but there's just going to be backlash.
Exactly.
The opposing side will just say, why don't we keep politics out of this sport?
Shut up and
Um,
dribble.
Shut up and dribble. And I just feel like you're setting these players up to, you're setting them up to create conflict to sell the game.
It's a lose lose
100%.
situation.
And I don't think that's fair to put on a person. Um, if people want to come out and say where they stand, that's on them.
Hmm.
You do have freedom of speech, not a freedom of consequence.
Yep.
But just to overtly try to stir the pot, um, it's like it's just not fair to them. It's really
No,
not fair to them.
not
Guys,
at all. And
there's
I
oh,
oh
I'm so sorry, but like this is along the same line, and I don't even know you guys saw this or not. CNBC was at Radio Row and was asking players their opinion on tariffs.
Bro, yeah,
and
no,
that's just I'm sorry,
Now,
but like I if I'm the NFL, I just immediately revoke their fucking press
yes,
credentials. You're causing more problems than
because
there's supposed
imagine
to be.
the amount of press credentials that an entire crew and like setup from CNBC needs. Imagine how many like independent media creators that are up and coming you could give access to,
Also,
and
it's CNBC. Why the fuck are you at the NFL?
exact because they want to be a part of it. But dude, the funniest thing was that someone on the Eagles had like a literal econ degree and like gave a whole actual answer. And it was like, yeah, they're probably going to be a little inflationary, so we'll see what happens at the end. And I was dying
I
laughing.
need you to send me that, please.
I will
I
find
need you
it.
to send me
I'll go
that,
find it
please.
and send it to you.
Conrad, what were you saying?
I
I'm
was
sorry.
no, I was gonna say, like, who has the expertise to weigh in on like geopolitical or economic matters? And like also that's kind of dangerous opening up that door to the public, because if you say something not smart, not great, like you're just spreading misinformation at that point. If you're CNBC, that's pretty
So it's looking
irresponsible.
for a click. You're just looking
Yeah.
for a click.
Exactly. And I like
Because
you want to keep the questions basic, but at the same time, it's like, come on, man,
oh,
come
dude,
on.
dude, think about I think that the Super Bowl does a phenomenal job with radio row or like with media night as a whole. Because think
Yeah,
about all the moments we've gotten, like the little kid asking Tom Brady who his hero is. Like I think we've all said, like, I hate Tom Brady, but that's still wholesome as hell, right? And even this year, like just having Jameis Winston go around and just like go have fun with these people and like let key players also have fun. Why do they want to talk about that?
Mm.
And
It's kind
exactly.
of for them too. It really is. They're the ones who got there.
yeah, like I was
Mhm.
thinking about it. Think about Jalen Hurts. Like entire weekend, it's Jalen Hurts. So bro, is clutch as hell. But like, you're still weighing a lot. Like it's probably still stressful. Then you play the game of your life, and then you're just like celebrating. But then you got to go on like every single morning show and like night show. Like you got to do a whole press tour
He
after that.
he clearly didn't want to be there either. I mean, it's Jalen Hurts. That's not his type of thing. I mean, he'll give like one crazy out of the blue weird ass quote and then be like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah, and like for like the night show and stuff, like Saquon was like, like the other guys are doing it a little bit better than him, just more media trained. I mean, like Saquon was in New
Yeah,
York for 4 years, so like he
of
kind of gets
course.
it, right? But like I just felt bad for him. I'm like, let him just like go hang out with his family for a little bit and enjoy what he just did,
And that brings up the ultimate question of just like athletes in general. I mean, they're just normal people. They just want to live their normal lives, but at the same
right?
time,
And I
you
think
are a lot of people's heroes, and a lot of people look up to you. It's kind of a catch-22 thing, right?
I was
I
gonna
And
think
say,
oh,
running into I ran into a few athletes in Chicago when I lived there. I lived in Wrigleyville when I lived there, a block away from Wrigley Field when they won, which was bananas. But I ran into a defenseman of the Chicago Blackhawks at the time. His name was Nick Jalmerson. I ran into him at a Starbucks, and I remember he got out. I waited to ask for a selfie with him after he got out of line, where he was like in private. Then I was thinking like he accepted, which was very gracious. And I was thinking at the time, like, what if he said no? And I was like, dude, like, you're not entitled to their time. Like, you're not
exactly.
entitled just because you're a fan. Like, you're not entitled to their time. They're humans too. They got places to go, places to be. There's better ways of handling it from the athlete end, but we got to give them a little bit more grace, I think, to be
mhm,
people too.
100. Like
I,
I think American culture is to just like uplift people to celebrity status so quickly, and then immediately other like the people that elevate them are on one side, and then on the other side, not even like political sides or anything like that, just like the two factions of the internet. On the other side, like these people are just looking how quickly they can tear them down,
yep.
right?
And
And it's just like remember the Kylie Kilsey video that went viral of her yelling at the lady that just like really wanted a photo at the beach.
yeah,
I'm just like, um, just think about like they have kids too. Like
exactly.
they're just normal people that do normal things, and they're just like at an elevated level of celebrity. Like the kid on Penn State's campus with Jason Kelsey,
Yep,
Hmm.
right? Like you're only doing that just to get a rise out of him, and you're being
exactly.
blatantly disrespectful. And he's lucky that Jason Kelsey did not actually hurt him.
100%. And I just finished Jeff Pearlman's book about Bo Jackson, right? And, phenomenal author. Love Jeff Pearlman.
Same.
And just talking about Bo Jackson, his life, just a kid from Georgia, not Georgia, from Alabama, all that stuff. He hated fame. He never liked being famous. He never liked the media. He never gave autographs, stuff like that. He would begrudgingly give them, but just at these card conventions, he hated it. He hated all the attention he got. But it's fucking Bo Jackson. Everyone knows who you are. You're literally Superman. I mean, it's one of those things where it's you. He loved the game, loved playing it, loved playing baseball, loved playing football, but just hated all the attention he got. He said it. I think once he said, on the field, I'm Bo Jackson, but off the field, I'm a family man. I'm a father. I don't want to be Bo Jackson or some shit like that. Pretty much.
Yeah, I completely understand that.
It's wild.
Like,
Yep. Sorry, go ahead, Noah.
no,
Sorry.
no, go right ahead.
I was gonna switch gears a little bit, and so I was gonna hold off.
Oh, I bet. So no, I was just gonna say, like, I just like I think Travis Kelsey's kind of the perfect example of this, where he was kind of just like he was kind of for just like the football people. We
Hmm.
all loved him. Like I've never hated Travis Kelsey, even when I hated the Chiefs back in the early days. Travis
Same.
Kelsey's always been funny. Uh,
Same.
right? And Travis Kelsey's always just been a good football player, and you can kind of tell that he's a cool dude. He also, had the mistake of reality TV show, which is really just funny to think about from time to time. But right, and it's just like he starts going out with Taylor Swift. That is sick as hell. Like, good for them. But like, just the absolute bombardment, and then the people's reactions, and then like, I just had to just I feel really bad for him.
I do too. I do too. And I think you kind of summed it up perfectly. I don't really have anything more to add. I just feel bad for him. The NFL kind of fucked him over with all the coverage they were putting on him.
And that's another thing that just pissed me off about our society. Like they're showing her for 10 seconds a game and getting 10 million more people to watch it and getting more money. Like what is like it's a win-win.
Hmm.
Like it was really cool seeing like all the dads who were like with their little girls and they were like, "Yep, my kid wants to watch football with me now because of Taylor Swift." Like what that is a phenomenal thing for the sport of football in this country.
Exactly. And I'm a big fan of it. Whatever puts
Same.
more eyes on the game, I'm in favor of.
Same.
Um,
Also,
I,
too, like you're introducing, like, think about what that does to the family unit too. Like, you get to share something together. You get to share an experience with your daughter and partake in something that you enjoy, but also she gets to look forward to for a completely different reason, but you still both enjoy the same thing. And that's a
exactly.
beautiful thing.
Yeah.
It makes the pie bigger. That's why we're all here.
And like
100%.
real quick, I've been yapping about the Kelseys a lot because I've watched a lot of their media stuff for like Super Bowl and stuff like that. But they dropped their New Heights episode yesterday morning, and it was just Jason and Travis talking about the Super Bowl, and it was it was really cool in a way to just to see them both like heavily support each other because both of them were miserable. But like Jason Kelsey was like, yeah, no, like he hated that game.
Hmm. I
Like
bet.
he's
I mean,
he
I
said that it
bet.
was miserable the entire time.
It, and and just the right wing in general, just demonizing Travis Kelsey for being so like just for being with Taylor Swift. I mean, he's a good dude. I mean, from what everything I can tell, I mean, he seems like a pretty chill, pretty nice guy, and I don't think he deserves the hate. He's overexposed, but I don't think he deserves the hate,
Yeah.
honestly.
And just once again, one real quick thing. MAGA people, they did not boo Taylor Swift because she's a liberal. They booed her because they're Eagles fans. They booed your guy too.
I believe so. I believe so.
Oh, dude, if you put any Chiefs fan in the world, Eric Stone Street, literally anybody, if you put them up on the jumbotron, they're getting booed in that stadium.
Oh, exactly. I'm sorry, but I think she probably did get a little booed, but it's Eagles fans. We're gonna boo
No,
everyone.
they booed her for sure, but as they should. They're Eagles fans.
Yeah,
They're gonna be
yeah.
dickheads.
I went to I remember this was like a long time ago, but it was Nats Phillies opening game, and Obama was the pitcher, and this is the game where Obama wore the White Sox jacket and the Nats hat, and Phillies fans just booed him relentlessly, and it was very funny. And dude, they're all from Philly. They probably voted for Obama, but it's like they're going to boo you because you're wearing a Nats hat.
Yeah, and just another off-field Super Bowl thing with the city of Philly. It was really cool seeing probably like 600,000 people just all just extremely happy and having fun. Like,
Hey,
not to be the cliche sappy person, but like a bunch of different people just like hanging out, having fun. It felt very different than like what we've been living through the last couple of years, actually. Like it's
I agree.
just a very cool time.
Yeah, Conrad, what did you want to mention about earlier?
I was gonna completely switch gears a little
Mm-hmm.
bit and go back to the halftime show
Mm-hmm.
and just like the blowback from it, which was overtly racist and bigoted
Yeah,
by some people. But I think it's a really important lesson for those people to kind of have, because on that stage, the majority of people who had oppositions to the performance, or like I couldn't understand what was going on and couldn't appreciate the art and the talent of the artist, it kind of really sucks not to see you or anyone like you perform. And like I wish they would really lean into that feeling, because we're that's DEI. Like that Super Bowl performance was the opposite of DEI. There was no diversity, equity, or inclusion. And it's just kind of like, hey, can't you just see how other people who don't look like you would feel that way? Maybe at the workplace, maybe on your local, like, podunk town sports team, and
mhm.
in any establishment. It sucks not to be included. And I think that's the lesson I would want those people to really think about. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Exactly.
it's not fun to be excluded. And like, don't get me wrong, loved it. I think 100% right call. But yeah, I think there's a real, if anybody watches this, like, yeah, it sucks to be not included, and it's important to include everybody you can in your life. You learn so much about other people, where they come from, their culture, their values, their morals, their experiences. Um, I wish they would lean into that feeling more of why they didn't like it, and try to understand why. Maybe, I don't know, if, like, God forbid, Kid Rock was up there with a whole bunch of other, like, white dudes from the sticks, why that would be so alienating to so many people.
Mm-hmm. Oliver, you want to know, or both of you, but you want to know what's also true about this halftime show? It was the first time that they picked someone that was like culturally relevant in that time period
Uh,
in such a
I
long
believe it.
time.
I believe it.
Because like Rihanna was awesome, was past her prime, hasn't put out new music in a while. Same with Jennifer Lopez and Shakira, they were past their prime.
The weekend.
The weekend was cool. That one was that show. If COVID wasn't a thing and there's a full crowd and all of that, and also
That would have
once
been
again
phenomenal.
we talked about it. That was my least favorite Super Bowl, so I was kind of annoyed by the halftime show. Was
That's
just
fair.
done with the night and wanted to go to bed. But yeah, like I think that plays a part in it too because like my parents didn't really get it. Now,
Yeah.
I fully like literally the first thing that I asked my sister when I came home the next day from Philly was, "So, what were the thoughts on the halftime show at this house? Like,
Mhm.
what was the reaction?" Just because I was like, It's gonna be funny," but like, it doesn't matter. The most of the people, most of the same people with brains in this country didn't really have an issue with it. A lot of
Yeah.
people
Mm,
liked it, and it was the most watched halftime show of all time.
Exactly. And he's just such a huge act. Everyone knows Kendrick Lamar. I mean, even these white people who really didn't enjoy it, or just people in general just didn't enjoy it. They probably know who Kendrick
They
Lamar
know who
is.
it is, and
And I would like
oh,
to add on a little bit to Conrad's point. From my personal point of view, it's just including everyone, right? Why didn't I enjoy it? Well, I didn't enjoy it because I don't connect to it. Well, why do you think someone else would enjoy it? Put yourself in that person's shoes. And I don't think we do that enough as Americans. And I always try to bring this point up to whenever I'm talking to politics with someone on the opposite side of the aisle as me. Just look at, why would I vote for this person? Why do I not like this? Look at it. Just try to, I guess, empathize with me, or I will empathize with you. And I think this
100%.
whole country is lacking empathy, or just lacking, just we're not looking at it from other angles. tunnel vision, pretty much.
It's hard to have empathy when there isn't consensus on like what is right and what is not what is right and what is wrong. But it just seems like we're living in different realities,
Yep.
and
Like,
and and we're shielded from other people's perspectives.
like just to use like a today example on the empathy discussion, why it's extremely hard for me is I find it very hard to empathize with someone that will look at the comments that were made today about the Ukraine and all the information that we're getting about that and think that there's nothing wrong with it.
Exactly.
With saying that Russia fought for the land, so they earned it. Speaking about a sovereign country with millions of people that do not want it, that died for it, and just
Mhm.
excluding him from negotiations in a more particular realm. But like, it's just so hard to find empathy with someone like that, right? That
Yeah.
does not a understand it and like it's like okay, cool, I understand it. I want to let it happen. I don't care. But more importantly and more frustratingly, the people that don't understand it and don't want to take the 2 minutes of time to just learn about what's happening.
Yep.
And it's really hard to find empathy with the uninformed.
The ignorant.
Yes.
I respect it. I mean, like I can't even deny that it isn't annoying or it isn't just hard to empathize with them or just hard to look at them because it is. I mean, people who are like who are unwilling to learn, unwilling to look at a different angle, it's very hard. But I just think to myself, and this is just for me, what made them that way? Why are you not looking at this angle? Is it because you're scared? Is it because you just don't want to? And it's just kind of sad to me that they are like this, that they are so far in their bubble, so far in their echo chamber, that they're not even willing to look out the window. And
Hmm.
I think most people aren't that deep in. There are people who are like that. Most people aren't, though.
I think the issue for us, and once again, like if I'm sitting in here in New Jersey in my little bubble
Hmm.
where it's mostly all liberals, like I said, don't I've literally only saw Trump signs in Pennsylvania, did not see them here ever. I think I saw one when I was with Oliver in New Jersey, and I was like, oh my,
Yep, we saw one.
and I freaked out because I was like, there's no way that this is happening, right? But I think when you go online, the only thing that you will see is the opinion of the cult. So then you're like,
Yep,
okay, like all of these people are just being willfully ignorant. I don't care about you. But then you go into a community like Erie, you'll understand that most people are just trying to find the best way to get food on their table and pay for their kids' school.
exactly.
And when you're in that spot, then you're like, okay, like I can work to understand and try to convince you that this is a better path forward.
And it's better to think about it in the way of it. What is it? They're the loud minority. They
Hmm.
are not the majority. They're the minority. The people who are on Twitter, the people who are on Instagram, I think something like 2% of the American population use Twitter. Some like crazy small number like that. No one really uses Twitter. We're just freaks who love Twitter, right?
Yeah.
They they don't represent the average American. They don't represent the average person in Erie or Crawford County or in New Jersey, right? I think that we just I mean, I just like to speak to this with everyone. Just I think just try to look at it with empathy, or I mean I'm repeating myself, but yeah, just empathy and just have that compassion for the other side, and hopefully they'll have the same for you. Treat people the way you want to be treated. That's what I try to do, and that's how I at least try to live.
It's I think a lot of this too is so much of the narrative and so much attention is given to ET that we need to fundamentally shift the narrative. Like I, they need to do something like come up with a new Bill of Rights and
Mhm.
specifically like tackle issues I think everybody can agree upon, whether it be congressional term limits, whether it can be like your representatives not trading. Um, I think I don't know. I want to see some sort of counter plan by the Dems to shift the narrative and be like, look, like all of my constituency like agrees with this, all of
Mhm.
it.
Yeah, like a direct
Uh,
democracy would be really nice.
yeah, just something where it's just like, hey, okay, fine, we're not going to be divided anymore, but 80% of the people want this.
I
How,
think. Oh, sorry to cut you
no,
off.
no, no, no. I was just going to say, how do we get this done?
I what I really like that I see happening is a lot of groups promoting the protests on the 17th to do it 50 states, 50 capitals. I've seen that a bunch of places. That's something really encouraging. And what's even more encouraging is that a lot of groups are promoting February 28th as just like stopping the United States economy for a day, right? Like
Hmm.
that's been thrown about now. The efficacy of that happening is obviously like a lot of people cannot risk missing a day of work. So I don't know how successful it'll be, but I just think like promoting things and like putting that everywhere and just scaring the crap out of these people. And I think you got to scare them, whether it's by calling your representative every single day, whether it's by avoiding and boycotting certain businesses and not giving those people more money, or it's by protesting. Like, you just have to give them a reason to be scared in a capitalistic society that's constructed as much like the United States values money more than any other country in the world, besides maybe the oil countries in the Middle East, right? And you got to scare people's money, not them themselves. And I think
Mhm.
if we do that consistently, we, the American people, can bring about change. And for Donald Trump in specific, if you want to get him to go less, you got to get him to get less airtime. There was a long time where his campaign like didn't really do much with him outside of a couple events. Like he wasn't in any commercials with his voice and stuff like that because they kind of needed me people to forget about him and how awful he was for a hot second, and it
The
worked.
basement strategy.
And it worked.
Yeah,
I think if we just bully him enough, he'll go into hiding. Because
but
to take it back to the playground when you're a little kid and you're getting bullied, you gotta bully the bully because they're more insecure than you are.
but I now that brings up a interesting point though. Would you rather him do all this, and I think just objectively for us, terrible things in private, or would you rather him scream out loud and do it in public? Because me personally, I'd rather him be on the TV and embarrassing himself than in the basement not embarrassing himself and doing these terrible things. I think,
I I think you kind of need a mixture of both. Like there's good and bad elements of both because if you look at it right now, he'll go out and he'll make like the Russia comment and stuff like that. Hasn't really said anything too much on the actual disaster stuff that's happening,
mhm.
right? That's more so through like Elon's Twitter account.
We just also talk about how a 4-year-old just like bodied him verbally. Just
That was
absolutely
That was
like
so funny.
dude.
that's like what did he say? Just you're not the president, bro.
If I'm Trump, I'm having a fucking hissy fit. I am
No,
kicking Elon Musk out of the White House. I'm sorry, Doge. What the hell is Doge?
no.
Just some
Also,
crazy shit.
did you see that Narendra Modi came to the United States of America and his first visit was with Elon Musk and not Donald
That's
Trump?
wild. Do you know if
And
that's wild.
Tommy Vietor from Pod Save America tweeted out saying, who's the real president? And I think just do a bunch. I still maintain. I mean, I've said this a bunch of times on and off camera. I still maintain. You get Elon and Trump into an ego war between each other, we're good because they're. I don't think one. I don't think Trump has this mandate without Elon Musk because Elon Musk is controlling the purse strings of the country and the Republican Party right now, and I don't think that Trump or that Elon obviously doesn't have the mandate without Trump because Republicans will remember how racist they are and be like, "You're South African, get out of here."
I think too, people didn't vote, and I agree with you. People didn't vote for Elon; they voted for Trump. And I think us as liberals, us as Democrats, our number one issue right now, what we should be focusing on, fucking just dividing them as much
Yep,
as we possibly
exactly,
can. If that's that
exactly.
stupid Time magazine cover, if it's all that shit. Just make that divide more visible. That video of his son saying, "You're not president, shut up." Just post that all over Twitter, Instagram, because it really
Dude,
does get under
that
Trump's
that that
skin.
should that should be
What the Dem- what
that
the
should be
Democrats
put
do.
out once a day. That
It
video
should
should be
be.
put out once a day.
And I think
It
as
should be on a
Democrats still we're not
billboard.
capitalizing it. It should be.
Yes.
I mean,
It sh-
and air ads on Fox News or whatever, because that's how you reach Trump. You get and it's funny. This is a side tangent, but if you just watch Fox News, watch Hannity, watch one of these people, just see all the ads that play. It's random shit where it's like, because they're directly appealing to Trump. They're not appealing to anyone. It is an audience of one, Donald Trump.
Yep.
And I think if a liberal PAC were to buy airspace on Fox News, just basically saying, "Congratulations, President Musk," I think that would be really more effective than anything
Oh,
else.
wanna just flood Twitter, Truth Social, and Fox News.
Flood the zone with shit, and that shit being Elon Musk is the president.
Yep. Cause yeah, you're right. He's wildly unpopular.
Yep,
Cause and as he should be, and also just create a rift between them, make the girls fight, make them fight each other.
weirdly enough, people love Trump. I mean, even moderates, they like Trump. They're going to give Trump. They're going to give him his 100 days, right? And American people will always do that before approval ratings go down. They gave Joe Biden until 2021 with the Afghanistan withdrawal. That's when his polls started really going down, right? Expect Trump to have that for the next year and a half, right? I'm just going to say that to everyone. Trump is going to be popular for the next year and a half. Elon Musk is not, though. We can take Elon Musk out. He is very, very vulnerable. And I don't think Democrats and just the DCCC or all those people realize that.
Yep. And it's frustrating seeing what the Democratic response has been, but
Yep,
at the same time, I think it's starting to pick up. And like I think we've talked about this. I think the Grammys, Super Bowl, all of this, like there's real momentum building, and people are starting to feel that flicker of hope again, and they're getting ready to go do something.
exactly. I mean, you got to do what you got to do, right? Even if that's what right now we're both going to go to Wisconsin, right? Just to for a fucking state judicial race. I mean, make phone calls. Hell, I wouldn't say donate money. I don't like to donate money. Think of donate money if you want. That's how we know
Yo,
Conrad, right?
on the donating money front, I got an email again from the Kamala Harris website asking for more money today.
Mhm,
Oh, but
me
do you
too.
want to see my phone? It's all of it is from the DCCC. I unfortunately donated money to two Democrats, and now I'm all over their lists. God, two Democrats who got their ass kicked too, which is the worst part. Man, I
Um,
just I hope we stop with that type of blitz though with the asking for money because people do not like that and it,
no,
it
it's
makes
stupid.
everyone's jobs harder.
Like it, dude. It's like I don't know, like a sports equivalent of it is. It's like the Chiefs
The
losing
Bleacher
this,
Report app,
huh?
the Bleacher Report app,
Oh
or
no,
just
no, no.
Bleacher Report.
Oh no, I was talking to just like that practice. It's like the Chiefs
Mhm.
getting their butt kicked and then being like crowdfunding for money to build a better team next year,
I,
which that owner would do, as we talked about on Tuesday.
yeah, he totally would.
Right?
I mean,
Did you guys see the Ontario, Canada commercial?
no, I didn't. You told me
No.
about this. We talked about this in the last pod,
Hi.
but
So the government of Ontario, Canada, bought a Super Bowl commercial, basically pressing upon the American public how important and big of an ally they were to the United States and how connected the two countries are.
Good for them.
And it was
Uh,
in the first half. It's while Donald Trump is still at the event. It was wild to me.
but the thing is, I don't believe the general population understands how important it is for us to be good friends with as much of the world as we possibly can.
100%.
And when we turn our back on people, like trust takes a really long time to cultivate. Trust and respect do, and they're really easy and really quick to lose, even just personally. Just think about it. I think what the United States is doing is the equivalent of, it's like your best friend sleeping with your girlfriend, and we just did that.
Mhm. I
And it's just
think I was I had a lengthy discussion about this today and about US foreign policy right now. I think that us letting Ukraine fall to Russia and us basically just handing Russia a voice, two voices in the American government with Kash Patel and Tulsi Gabbard, who have legitimately both been proven to be Russian assets. But on top of that, you're just handing land in a country to the Russians and giving them a major win. I think it would be the biggest failure in U.S. foreign policy, maybe ever.
that's
Besides funding Osama bin Laden.
I'm not like an expert on foreign policy or anything like that. It just reminds me of Neville Chamberlain. It just reminds me of appeasement. And like that ends up in really bad places. Where does it stop? When is an authoritarian ever going to be
Like
satisfied?
Putin has
Never.
been on the record that he wants to rebuild the land empire that was the Soviet Union. And the United States is about to give him the biggest piece to that.
Wild. It's disgusting. And I mean, and I just watched the ad, by the way. That's why I muted myself. But we're and Conrad, you're right. We're just losing friends. I mean, it's easier to. I mean, it's just sad. Just
But
so sad. Canada's our number one ally, and people love to think we get most of our oil from Saudi Arabia, Venezuela, shit like that. No, it's Canada. It's not even fucking close. We get all of our oil from Canada and Mexico. And the fact that we're going to trade wars with Canada because what, they have a liberal prime minister? That's insane.
no, and what's wonderful about it is that these countries know exactly why this is happening and what's happening, so they're targeting the specific people responsible for making this happen. And
Mhm.
Mhm.
unfortunately, people that do not want this to happen in those states and those fields are going to suffer from it. But like the once again, Ontario, Canada said that they're going to put 100% tariff on Teslas coming into Canada, as they
As they
should.
should.
Ev-
As they should.
Every single country on the planet just put 100% tariff on Tesla. Stop buying Starlink. Stop buying rockets.
Which fucking sucks. I mean, like I hate that it has to come to this, but no, it should come to this. These are
If every
scumbags and they're
single
just
country in the
destroying.
world does that, or just a large amount of like the countries that are buying those vehicles, it would cripple his power. Like
Dude, and
they like he literally went and asked the State Department for $400 million and got it
I saw
yesterday. And then they had to try to like they tried to walk it back today after a lot of public pressure because you're planning on cutting $800 million from Medicaid, but then you're giving $400 million from the State Department to
$800
Tesla.
billion dollars.
It's billion.
Billion with the B.
Jeez, man.
Yep.
So you're planning on doing that, but then $3 billion to SpaceX and 400 million to Tesla for military grade armored vehicles for the State Department.
Yep. Yep.
Which once again, hopefully they have the same military grade technology that the Cybertruck does.
It's fucking ridiculous, man.
Like
And I would like to kind of bring up not another tangent, but just talking about how we're talking about Putin a lot and how he destroyed Russia as being president. I always like to bring up Turkey. Turkey being a democracy, the only real democracy in the Middle East for how long, right? And he gets this guy Erdogan who comes in, and Donald Trump and Erdogan have the same book. Donald Trump is playing the Erdogan book. Divide us with religion, so Christian nationalists, but he has Erdogan has the Muslims, and then just fucking just do whatever the fuck you want. Arrest your political opponents, make their lives hell. Don't leave. Change term limits. Make there's a fucking presidency in Turkey. Before, in the 2000s, there wasn't. It was a prime ministership. He added a presidency to give him more power. It's funny if a lot of these people, I can't think of the term, but like not dictators, but kind of dictators like Viktor Orban, Vladimir Putin, they get rid of parliament and then they add a presidency because a presidency is way more just dictatorial. I don't know the word, but it's more powerful, whatever it is.
Sorry to cut you off. I went on my phone for 1 second, and this is what I see. I am reading it word for word from Aaron Parnas. Okay.
Hmm.
A new bill in Ohio introduced by a Democratic lawmaker seeks to criminalize ejaculating without intending to make a baby
God bless Ohio, man. Can we
by
get
a
Ian on the call
Democrat.
right now? Tell him to get this. Tell him to get this fixed.
I'm gonna text him that.
What it, oh, the thing is
Oh my
like this
God.
is just so ridiculous that there isn't nuance in the abortion argument at all, at
Right.
all. And it just it's a huge slap in the face to all women where it's just like, if you're getting an abortion in the third term, like you have the baby's room painted, you have a name picked out, and something terrible happens. And like, dude, it's just sometimes I can't believe we're we're living through what we're living through. I never thought growing up it would be like this, where opportunities would be and rights would be taken away. It always seemed like we were always going to infinitely progress towards something better. And we will get there. This is a pretty big bump in the road. I feel like we've lived through, I mean, the millennial generation and now Gen Z, like you guys got it bad with COVID, and now this. Millennials, like growing up, we had 9/11, 08, the fallout from that, the first ET presidency, COVID. Like young people are hurting. I don't know. I think when we get through this, we're going to change. We're going to make a lot of aggressive changes for the better. We
Mm, I
will.
think I
I
think
hope so.
I think a major catalyst to why Europe is as left as it is because of Hitler and because of
Yep.
Mussolini and Stalin and Lenin, just like the influence that those four people had on the European continent for that much time. And I think post Donald Trump, I think a large swath of the country will want something like that to happen here.
I hope so. But I mean, the ultimate, what was it? The just having liberalism for so long. What's the ultimate? Uh, I can't think of the word again, man. Just the ultimate opposition to liberalism is populism,
Yep.
and that's what Donald Trump is just doing. He's a populist through and through, and I think people are sick of liberalism. They want populism. They want to be listened to, and Donald Trump is the guy, is the messenger, I guess.
Like we just need to find someone to put that message out for the Democrats.
Yep.
And I think every conversation always comes back to the same two things: loneliness in the younger generation and the political ramifications of that, and
Mhm.
how to get the perfect messenger for the Democratic Party.
Exactly.
And I
I mean,
think we're still waiting on elected officials and people in power to answer those two questions.
I
Democrats, I
think,
just feel like need to loosen up with their hierarchy of experience. They just
yes.
need new voices. We desperately want something different.
Mhm.
The nation has shown they want something different, and we need to get on board with that. We absolutely need to get on board. We don't need 70, 80-year olds. We don't need Chuck Schumer up there. We need more energetic, younger voices who connect with more people.
And
Can one of
I think a prime
can
example of this is the AOC race. Would she want to be in charge of Ways and Means, right? And you elect that dude from Virginia who has, what was it, liver cancer? What was his name? Drawing a blank, but you know, a House member even says, "Oh, I know he's a 78-year-old, but he's a very spry 78-year-old with liver cancer." That's like a direct quote he said. It's like, dude, we want AOC. The American people want her. They want someone who is willing to fight for them. But the Democrats just don't see that.
They're
They're we talked about echo chambers earlier. Democrats are just so fucking enclosed in their echo chambers that it's insane. Like nothing will get through that. Nothing
like,
at all.
and I'm reading American Carnage by Tim Alberta because Oliver basically made me do it. And right, the Republicans run a spot like that, and in came Donald Trump to basically
Yep.
get the ones that wanted to rally behind him to rally behind him, and then told everybody else to go kick some rocks.
Yep. And I think as people who are interested in politics, if you're interested in politics, the best thing you can do is learn history. Why are we at this moment, right? I mean, just what steps brought us to this moment? And for the Republicans, it's running austerity candidates, running the same old motherfuckers over and over again. George Bush to fucking what's his name, John McCain to Mitt Romney, but then you have this outsider Donald Trump who just is so different from everyone else. But he's saying the shit you want to say, that you want these candidates to say, but they won't say, right? And that was the appeal of him compared to a Ted Cruz or to a Marco Rubio, who are just the fucking basic bitch candidates, right? And Democrats haven't found out that lesson. We had Obama, but Obama, he was different, but not that different. The system is now based off of Obama, if that makes any sense.
There's so
I,
many barriers of entry to get into politics. I think there's a lot of young people who
mhm.
would want to give it a go, even if they fall flat on their face. And it's just, how do you how do you cultivate this new generation of Democrats, different minds, different perspectives, people who understand what it's like to live in an internet world? Um, how do you give them platforms? Because it feels like we're just waiting for the older generations to like open up space for us.
Mhm.
And like they're just not getting it done. They're just not. And I think I don't know how you, I don't want to say lower those barriers of entry, but how do you? How do you make it easier to run? How do you widen your bench not only on a federal level, but on a state and local level as well too?
It's a phenomenal question. I
Hmm.
mean, it's so hard. You don't have the money, you don't have the infrastructure, but it's like, I know I'm the right candidate, right? I mean,
I,
it's a good question.
I looked into running for city council and I talked with someone on the current city council and they were like, "Hey man, you need probably about $20,000 to run."
Mhm.
And I was like, "Bro, I don't have that money." And also too, I don't want to take other people's money when the average person doesn't have that much money to give. And then if you're taking it from business and stuff like that, whenever you take a gift, I mean, as in my job, if I get a gift over $100, like I have to report it because it creates a conflict of interest. And it's just kind of like there's the financial burden of that. How do you mitigate that?
Exactly. I mean, so many campaigns go into debt, right? And look at Kamala Harris. Look at all these people. I'm going to use Preston Norrie as an example. We all know Preston, right? He ran a race in Northwestern PA. He ran against Mike Kelly for the House seat. He raised a lot of money, but it's so difficult to just even get into that position to raise money. And he was in California. You have to go all over the country just to raise money for a district in Northwestern PA that, quite frankly, a lot of people just don't care about.
Hmm.
It's sad how
Well,
much you have to grovel and how special interest gets their hooks into you, right? I mean, look at New Jersey, right? The all the New Jersey congressmen are bought and paid for by the big banks and the drug companies. Every single one of them. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. APAC's a big player in this. But if they weren't bought by these people, they would lose their seats, right? It's crazy. You need these powerful entities to keep you in your position of power.
100%. Um, Shit. I think that the internet can be a massive game changer in that though, because I think by just building a platform on the internet, building a presence on the internet, you can crowdfund and you can get money from people everywhere in the world by sitting in your region, in your area. You don't got to fly to California and ask people for money. And you're then also not tied down to special interests. You're just tied down to doing the best of your ability to help the people that donated to you.
Exactly. By the way, I just want to say Preston did not bow down to special interest. I think he ran a phenomenal campaign and everything like that. I'm just using it as an example that you have to travel. But you're right though. I mean, look at Bernie Sanders in the 2020 primary. Didn't take a single cent from a super PAC. And he raised a shit ton of money. But Bernie Sanders is on a level so much higher than local city council or local county council or whatever it is. I mean, just
100%.
it's just such a huge barrier for the average person to get over to win.
Mhm. I want to switch gears for a hot second before we wrap things up because I just saw something that was kind of funny. Pennsylvania or sports books lost $6.5 million in Pennsylvania on the Super Bowl
Let's go.
because everybody bet on the Eagles and they were the underdog. So there's
Let's
like
go.
there were $11.5 million bet by PA, and they ended up losing $6.5 million.
Oh no, the sports books lose money.
But I brought it up a because it's just interesting and it's funny and go birds.
Mhm.
Also, I think it's getting. I love sports gambling. I gamble on sports frequently, but I'm. It's kind of annoying and it's a little disgusting how much sportsbooks get shoved down your throat when you're just trying to watch a either like literally any show on ESPN, any show on YouTube, literally anything. Sportsbooks are just being shoved at you.
I was buying my Eagles Super Bowl shirt, right? I'm wearing it right now. But I'm buying it off the Fanatics app because that's where you buy all your sports stuff. Why the fuck is the Fanatics app have a sports book in it? I'm sorry, I'm trying to buy an Eagles shirt. I'm not trying to gamble on the game. It's everywhere. It's disgusting how much it's like on all
And
of these states.
I previously I have interviewed a professor who specializes in sports economics and sports gambling in particular, and we've talked about it. It's just it seems rather unethical
It is.
to
I
There's
think
a
it
shove
is.
it to have the leagues make so much money off of gambling and then have such strict rules for the players. And I understand that an NFL player cannot gamble on an NFL game. Shout out Isaiah Rodgers for trying though.
My king.
But like I just think there has to be a limit to it. And also I'm yapping, so I apologize. But Australia, very open to gambling, but what's happened in that country to this generation of just people, like the
Mhm.
millennial generation and above and beyond, like the gambling addictions in Australia are real because they were so open to gambling. And it's caused like drastic societal issues for Australia. And I think we're staring down the barrel of that happening in this country too,
Yeah.
because it already plays in with the American psyche of being risk takers.
Yep.
Like that's why cryptocurrency is bought and sold
Future
more in
favors
America.
the bold.
And exactly. And then so much gambling advertisement and just it's just a lot. And I don't know. It's starting to rub me the wrong way.
there's
I
a
agree.
there's a podcast on it by Vox Today Explained on sports gambling that was really really eye-opening and how much it proportionally affects. It really sinks its hooks into desperate people. And I mean, the genie's out of the bottle now. I don't know if you ever put it back in. I don't think you do, but there's a lot of serious conversations that need to be had about a variety of vices that we have as a country and how we can better handle those vices.
Mhm. On that topic, I saw a graph the other day, and Gen Z is spending $20 billion less in alcohol than the previous generation.
Mhm.
And I think that's kind of cool.
No, it is.
I
I
think that's a massive that's a very positive development for society.
And I think it's funny though, but we're spending a lot less money on alcohol, but I think Gen Z's vices are elsewhere. Like as you mentioned earlier, gambling, and I think another one, weed. Dude, we love smoking. That's like our whole generation. I mean, weed, nicotine, stuff like that. But I think it's very interesting. We're moving in the right direction, I think, on certain issues. But
Alcohol is a big one that I think we are way too polluted with in society. It is a carcinogen,
mhm,
um, and it is the most costly drug. We like it has the greatest societal cost by far.
Hmm.
Um,
easily.
and it's like Susie and I don't really drink at all now. I mean, I've had my fun in the past decade, but we are definitely a lot happier and better people. The thing is like you're like when you drink too much alcohol, you're gonna get in a fight with a person and end up in the emergency room. Like if you smoke too much weed, you're gonna have too many snacks and sleep on the couch.
Yeah, exactly.
You
And it
know,
and
it's it it's just too much.
And
it is.
once again, it kind of comes back to lobbying.
Hmm.
Yep, yep. It 100% does. I mean, I totally get why people love drinking. It is fucking fun as shit, dude. I mean, the night where night after the election lost, you, Conrad, and Susie came over. We were all like at the Airbnb, right? I mean, we all were hitting the bottle, hitting everything super hard. And I mean, dude, that was the first night I got really drunk, and dude, it was fun as hell. Like I totally see how people can have like a really good time. Like, dude,
Yeah.
but it's scary how much of a good time you have with all these substances.
Hmm.
I mean,
As
100%.
like
well.
it's very scary.
I ready to wrap it up.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
I thank you guys for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next week. Peace.